Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Ready for another video? Alright, so before we get into the actual topic for today, let's go ahead and pray for it. God, we love you and we thank you so much for creating us, for loving us, for teaching us, for purifying our souls and putting us through the fire in order to teach us lessons that we need to know. I am grateful for the lessons that you have taught me over the years and for now being able to let me share some of my testimony about it with people to hopefully encourage and inspire them and give them hope and have them inspire them to further their relationship with you, God. I ask that you take my lips right now and this be all of you and none of me. I ask that you get this video to whoever needs to see it. Open their eyes and ears and encourage them and give them hope through the things that you've done for me. I ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Alright guys, so as you've seen by the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about letting go and letting God. And I know it seems kind of cliched, but for me, in reference to the part of my testimony that I'm going to be talking to you guys about, it is all about trusting God. Because for me, in the beginning part of my faith journey, like before I really had a relationship with God, there wasn't really anybody in my life that I could trust. You know what I mean? So when God finally came on the scene, I was basically I was a kid at the time. I was 11 when I actually had my first encounter with God. Okay, and I was basically a jaded 40-year-old divorcee attitude wrapped up in an 11-year-old's body. I was a mess, okay? And when God came onto the scene, one of his biggest things that he started teaching me through those early years was how to trust him, was that he was trustworthy. And he did that by telling me things and then following through with them or helping me out with things that I prayed for, stuff like that. So the part of my testimony that we're going to be talking about with the really letting go and letting God was probably when I was in around college, okay? And college was 8, 9 plus years ago now? It's been a while, guys. Okay, I'm older than I look. Anywho. But back in college, my relationship with God was kind of at the point where, I knew God was there. I was kind of friends with God, and we were, starting to develop our relationship, but I still wasn't at the point where I fully trusted him. I wasn't at the point where, I gave my life into his hands, and, let him work on me and guide my steps and all those things, which I did get to that point later on. But in this point of my life, I was not there yet. I was still very much, I had grown up being a self-sufficient person. So I was oh, God, I'll come to you for the big things or the things that I'm really having problems with. But all these other little things, I can handle that. No worries. You've got bigger things to take care of than, my college and my job hunting and whatever else, I'm I got this. It's okay. I'm an adult. I can handle this. And of course, that is not the best stance to take with God. But alas, it is where I was in my walk with God. So in college, I was very type A, very much okay, I'm going to write down my 10-year plan. This is when the age I want to have a house by, when I'm going to have my career going by. Let's see, I'll get married once I'm at least 30, I wrote it all down, and I swear when I was writing it down, God was chuckling in the background you have no idea, darling, but none of that is going to happen the way you want it to. So I wrote all these things down. And of course, the first one on the list was, okay, once I graduate college, which, check, did that. Then I was okay, I'm going to get a job, start my career, And so at the beginning of this, I kind of felt God being hey, why don't you let me help you with this? Talk to me about it, pray about it, give it to me. I'll help you. And I was like, nah, I got this. It's okay, God. Don't worry about it. I'm a big girl. I can handle this, you know? And so, of course, got my resume together, putting all the things on it. I started looking online for different jobs. I started putting in resumes here, there, job application after application after application. And I'm doing this for like months and months on end. I'm not getting a single callback. Not one, okay? And I was living off my savings, you know, at this point. And I went through looking through all these job applications and everything. I was jobless for 1.5 years, guys. Now, to be fair, like, there's like babysitting here or there on the side or stuff like that kind of came in. But other than that, like, I was jobless for 1.5 years after graduating college. Like, I'm looking, nothing's happening, no callbacks, none of this, none of that. And I finally got to the point where, and like over all of this, God is still like, just in the back of the mind, like, hey, you could talk to me. Hey, I'm here, I can help you. And I kept going, no, it's okay, I got this. It's a couple places didn't call me back, whatever, I got this, I'll handle it. So, more applications, no more callbacks. Like 1.5 years, I probably put in 200 plus job applications, and I did not receive one single callback, which, statistically speaking, I should have received at least a few, you know, just saying. So by the time I finally got sick and tired of this, like, I knew God was shutting the doors for me, like making sure I didn't get any callbacks, because he was still back here like, hey, come on, I just want you to give it to me and I can help you out. And because, you know, I was stubborn as a mule at this point in my walk, I just kept being like, nope. But 1.5 years into it, I was sick and tired. Like, I did not want to do another job applications. If I saw another freaking thing online, like, I was gonna lose my mind. Like, I was just over it in 1,000 different ways. And so I finally looked up at God and I'm like, fine, you want it? You want it so bad? Here, take it. I don't want it anymore. I don't want to look at another job application. Here, you can have it. I don't even care what job I get. Take it from me. I'm done. And I basically had a hissy fit with God. You know, it happens from time to time, guys. And if you've had them with God, you know what I'm talking about. They happen, okay? And thankfully God is big enough. He created us. He can handle a little hissy fit from us from time to time if that's what it takes, okay? So, gave it to him. And he was like, call up your old boss. I was like, what? What? He's like, call up your old boss. And so messaged my old boss, and within 24 hours I had a job. I had basically my old job back that I had been doing through college, but I had to give up because towards the end of my college stuff there was just too much going on for me to work. So 1.5 years, no prospects, finally give it to God. Within 24 hours I had a job. God was like, see, I'm right here, I got this. And that job, which at the time I kind of thought was like a step back, you know, in my career, because I was like, but this was something I was doing in college, like a side money. This isn't, you know, career. And so for me, I kind of thought it was a step back, but because it was obviously a giant God moment, I took the job and got back in there and worked there for like another year. And then God used that job to get me my next one, which is another part of the story. But so the whole letting go with this particular part of the story was him wanting me to trust him. Because for me, the self-sufficiency, the control issues, the me wanting to do it all myself, was out of fear that God wouldn't do it well, and kind of out of just not trusting him and not knowing that he could handle it and that he could do it well. For me, I was so used to, people letting me down and things not going the way people promised they would and stuff like that, that I had a hard time believing that God would do that for me and that God would come through for me. And so he was using this scenario to prove to me that he does have this. He does have control. He knows how to do things that are the best for me, even if I don't understand it. And he used that throughout my career. Throughout my career, all the various jobs and things I've had, he's always been there and done this. So once I got into this job, I was there, like I said, for about a year. And then within the same building, another position opened up that I was incredibly qualified for. Like, went with my degree, everything else. I was qualified for it. It opened up. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to apply for this because this would, increase my salary by a good deal. And because it's like the next stepping stone, or at least that's how my brain perceived it, was the next stepping stone towards getting all of the goals that I wanted done. And so I applied for this job, and I was kind of really into it. Okay, I was like, this would increase my salary, which would mean I'd be able to do this, and that. I'd be closer to getting this goal of, getting my own place and, all of the things. And I was building it up to be this really big thing in my mind. Okay, I went through the application process, went through the interview process, and during the interviews, like when I was there in the environment and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is the place for me. Like this makes sense. And I kind of felt like God wanted me there. Like this was going to be, my next step. This is where I was supposed to be. And I was building it up again, so big in my head, kind of like when I get this, I will be happy because this, and that. Which, if you've gone through any of this, you're already seeing the warning signs here. I was building it up to be an idol. I was putting this job above God, and it was a problem. So, God had them reject me. They sent me a rejection letter stating, oh, sorry, we're going with somebody else. And I was floored because I was like, I already work here. Like, who are you bringing in that, is more qualified for this than I already was? And like I said, I was completely floored when they rejected me for it. And I was like, the first thing I did when I got rejected was I went to God. I was like, God, what's going on? Like, I thought you wanted me there. Why am I getting rejected? And he told me right then and there, he's like, you made that job an idol. You put that job ahead of your relationship with me, and that's not okay. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I didn't realize that was what I was doing at the time. Like, I didn't process it that way. I didn't think of it that way. I was just so focused on the next step in my life, the next thing that was going to happen, that I didn't realize that I was like putting it way up here, and my relationship with God was somewhere around here. And so when God told me that, like, I repented. I was like, God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Like, I didn't know that was what I was doing. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been rejected from this job. So God, what do you want me to do? Like, I'll go wherever you want me to go. Lead me. Show me what you want me to do. Okay? And at this point, I ended up putting in like an application for another job just randomly. Went through the interview process with that one, and I didn't feel like a lot of peace about it. And I was like, God, okay, I don't really like this place. I'm like, but if you want me here, make it happen, have them hire me. If you don't want me here, then just like have it stop the whole interview process. Don't have them call me back or anything. And he did not have them call me back, which I was very thankful for. And so I'm still, at the job that I was at because I didn't get into the other one, and I'm starting to work back, and it's starting to come towards, what was it? It was like August, something like that. And then the woman who would have been my boss in that position, in that August, she came to me, just like randomly, out of nowhere, and was like, hey, so about that job position, I know Reese sent you the rejection letter, and we were going to go with somebody else, but that person dropped out at the last minute. And so I've been praying, like, all summer long, like, okay, who do you want me to bring in for this position? Who do you want to have this job? And she's like, and I kept hearing your name over and over again. Kept hearing Candice, Candice, Candice. She's like, so I'm wondering if you would consider taking the job. I was like, wait, what? And of course I said yes, okay? Because when I was there and doing that interview process, I felt like I was supposed to be there. And so God brought it all the way back around, used the interim to get rid of the idle situation, teach me a lesson, and then actually did bring me into that job. And that job was a total blessing. It really was. And I could see why God had me there for the time that he did, the years that he did. And so ever since those moments where God took care of it, got me the job, did that, like ever since then, anytime like a job transition or something like that happens, first thing I do is go, okay, God, what do you want? I'm letting it go. It's in your hands. It's not mine. You do it better than I do, like times 1,000, and I don't want to be working and striving for this. Like, what do you want me to do? It's my first reaction now. I trust him completely when it comes to my jobs and bringing in money and, paying my bills. Completely. And he used those instances to build up the trust between the two of us. So that job, I was there for like 3 years-ish. And then they ended up shutting down because, world went crazy. And so all of a sudden I'm jobless again. And I was like, okay, God, I'm leaving this one in your hands. What do you want me to do? Tell me what you want me to do, or make something happen, put something in my lap. What do you want me to do? And he ended up using people I knew from that job, kind of put it in my lap, the job I got after that. And it just kind of happened. It all fell into place. I didn't really have to do anything for it. Didn't have to put in any job applications or stuff like that. It just kind of all fell into place. As did the job after that one. And from now on, I'm like, okay, God, you've got it. You've got it. You do it. And you make it so easy. So easy. So with my career, I'm fully 100% trusting God. Because he knows what's best for me. He knows where he wants to take me. He knows what steps and what places I need to be to get to the next step along the line to do the things, okay? Another part of this letting go and letting God was a situation where when I did get the job that I had been rejected for, and I ended up getting it anyway, that job, when I was doing that job, I was like, okay, I'm going to need a car. And so my brain's spinning, thinking, okay, gonna have to can't get a new one because I can't afford a new one, gonna have to get a used one. I'm like, ugh. But then you don't want to get completely screwed in getting a car that's not worth buying and has way too many repairs that need to be done. So I'm thinking over all these things, and I'm like, you know what? God took care of the job thing. I'm like, I wonder if he'll take care of the car thing. So I prayed to God. I was like, okay, God, I'm going to need a car. I'd like one that's not too old, doesn't have too many miles on it, will last me a good long while, and I only have this amount of money to spend on it. I'm like, but I want you to take care of this, so I'm just going to let you go. I'm going to let you run with this. You can find me a car. I know you'll bring it to me. You'll bring it to me and you'll have it be without me having to look through newspapers, without me having to look online, without me having to do all the things and stress myself out. Like, I'm like, God, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to give it in your hands and let you take care of it. And within a month, 2 tops, I don't recall the exact timeline for this, guys, but within a month or 2, and within this month, 2 months, I had stated my request to God, and I had, like, let it go, like, entirely. I wasn't worrying about it. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't looking online. I wasn't looking in newspapers. I wasn't freaking out about it. Like, I had literally just given it off, sent my request in, and I was waiting for a response. Okay? That was it. And I'm at work. I'm doing my thing. And out of nowhere, an old coworker of mine, because again, we were in the same building, an old coworker of mine comes up to me out of nowhere. And she's like, hey, you still need a car? Do you want one? And I was like, of course, yeah. And she's like, yeah, you know, my car that I've had for a while, like, it's just not big enough now that I've got kids and stuff, so I need to I'm getting a bigger one, and I want to get rid of this one. It's, you know, it's not that old. It has like 37,000 miles on it, and I could sell it for this amount of money. The car came to me out of nowhere. It wasn't old. It wasn't that old. I mean, when I was in college, I was driving like a 1990 Oldsmobile, okay, guys? So for me, anything that's less than like 15 years old is not that old. Anywho, wasn't that old, had like very minimal miles on it. 37,000 miles is not bad at all. And the amount of money I paid for it was the exact amount I had told God that I could spend this much. God brought it to me without me striving, without me worrying about it. Like, he is so good and so gracious that he was like, okay, you give it to me, let me take care of it, and I'll bring it back and I'll bless you with this. Just wait, let me do my thing and I'll bring it to you. And he did. Like, it was the craziest thing when she was talking to me about it, when she was like, yeah, do you need a car? And I'm like, girl, you are an answer to prayer right now. Like, and I told her all about it because I was so excited. I'm like, hey, God actually pulled through on this. He did exactly what I asked him to. All I had to do was send in a request. It was within his will, of course, that I was going to need a car. I sent in the request, and then I waited, and I let go, and I just let him do his thing. And I ended up being incredibly blessed by it. Okay? Now, what's the point of the letting go and letting God? It's not just so you can get a job or get a car or get married or whatever it is that's next on your to-do list, okay? The letting go and letting God is all about trust, especially for me. It was learning to trust God, learning that he can be trusted, that he does pull through, that he does care about those things for us. He cares about the big things. He cares about the little things, okay? He cares about if you have a toothache. He cares about, you know, that you're stressed about finals coming up, or that you're worried about a friend of yours because they decided to stop talking to you all of a sudden, and you're like, what in the world's going on? I don't understand, you know? Like, God cares about every hair on your head. He cares about every little thing you are going through. And he wants you to come to him with it. He wants you to trust him with it. He wants you to make your requests known to him. I mean, he talks about that multiple times in the Bible. Like, just bringing your requests to him. And then trusting that he will take care of it, because over and over in the Bible it says he's your provider. He's your protector. For thy maker is thy husband. Like, he is your comforter. He is the person who wants to be, like, so close to you that he lives inside of you, guys. And so letting go and letting God is all about trusting him. And the key part of that is the letting go. Now, the letting go to be very, very specific. The letting go is not, okay, God, I need this. But then you're sitting there worrying about it, thinking about it a million times a day, obsessing over it, turning it into an idol, being like, okay, but God, if you could do it exactly this way, and, trying to figure out all the little details on your own and stressing out about it, like, that is not letting go. Letting go is giving him your request, being like, okay, God, I really, really desire to be married. God, I really, really desire to have this particular type of job. God, I really desire to have a child. Okay? Or God, I really need your help in this situation with a friend of mine right now because I don't know what to do. Okay? God, I need your help with a family member. I need, this family member is having a really hard time and I need you to help bless them, give them an experience with you so they will come to you and have that sort of relationship with you that they need to have. You give those requests, okay? And you give them as specific, as you need to. God, with the husband, I ask that he is a man of your own heart. I ask that he is good with kids. I ask that he's a family man. I ask that, this, and that, and the other. And then you let it go, okay? You don't worry about it. You don't obsess about it. You don't think about it every day. It might cross your mind from time to time, which is totally fine, okay? But you don't stress. You don't freak out about it. You just go, okay, God, I'm trusting you. I am having faith in you. I know that you've got this, and if it is in your will, you will make it happen. If it is not in your will, then you won't. And then you sit back and you just wait, okay? And you wait until it happens, or until he gives you a specific instruction that will help make it happen. So when I gave him the job thing the first time around after college, okay, and he was like, call your old boss. If I had not followed the instruction of call your old boss, I would not have then got the job that he had already set aside for me, okay? So sometimes it's just waiting and letting it happen, like it was with my car. It was just, okay, I'm giving it to you, and I just waited. And then it came to me, okay? And then other times, he's going to give you a specific instruction, like, hey, put this application in. Or, hey, I want you to write a letter to this person. Or, hey, why don't you ask this person to go to a meal with you? Or, why don't you go talk to that neighbor and tell them about me a little bit? Sometimes he'll give you a specific instruction, and in order for that prayer to be answered, you need to follow the instruction, okay? And usually it's something that's not that difficult, guys, okay? At least in my experience, it's not something that's crazy out of your wheelhouse, all right? You follow the instruction, or you sit back and wait, depending on what God's plan is for you. You let it go. And then you let him do what he does best. I mean, he loves you. He cares about you. He has a plan for every little detail of your life. And he wants to paint the painting of your life with his paintbrush. But if you keep grabbing the paintbrush from him, your life is going to turn out a little messy. That painting is going to get messier than it should be. Okay? But if you let God hold that paintbrush and paint the painting that is your life, it'll be beautiful. Now, there's going to be tough times. Duh. That's life. God uses them to mold us, to teach us. The 1.5 years of being jobless taught me that, hey, no, I don't have this all myself. I may be a grown adult, but I still need God to help me. Okay? Because I cannot do it on my own. I can't do anything on my own. I mean, I can't even breathe without the Spirit of God breathing in me. Okay? We wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for God. So you let go, let him do his thing, and he writes stories and paints pictures 1,000,000 times better than we ever could. Because he knows all the details, he knows all the players that are involved, he goes to town. And if you ask him in faith for something, and you let it go and just let him do it, you will be amazed at the blessings that come back towards you and how well he answers those requests. And half the time he will go above and beyond, okay? Above and beyond to make it so much better for you, okay? With my car, I was used to driving like old junkers, guys, like old school crank windows, hand crank windows. Like I had the ceiling fabric coming down and like just leaning across the top of my head, and I had to like push pin it back up in there. Like I'm talking like doors that you don't open because they just don't open anymore on your car. Air conditioning and heaters that don't work. Like I'm talking like old school cars, okay, that had seen a lot of life. And so when God brought me my car, and it's like a 2010, okay, that was like 20 years newer than the car I had driven previously to this one. And so I was like, oh my goodness, wait, there's power windows. Like I have a heater and an air conditioning that works. I have an automatic start on my car. Like, this is amazing. And all of these were just huge, like, extra cherries on top because I didn't need those things, okay? I was used to driving around without them. So I didn't necessarily need them. But God blessed me with all those little extra things on top of what I had asked for, because I had just asked for the basics, okay? A basic car to get me to and from where I need to go. But he was like, okay, I'm going to give you one with even lower miles than you expect. It's going to be a color you don't expect. And it's going to have all these little extra amenities to it that you've never had before in a car. And I have been incredibly blessed that this car has kept going and going and going, and it has not needed any crazy giant repairs. I mean, there's been things here and there that needed to be fixed, but nothing insane. Nothing that, is going to break the bank. And God is still blessing me because that car is still running and it's still going. And I've got like maybe 70,000 miles on it now. So I have a plan that it's going to, well, if it's in God's will, it will continue to run, and I will run it until it's dead, guys. So this car is going to last me a good long while. And it was a blessing brought to me in a pretty little bow wrapped with the thing. God's like, here you go. I got something for you. So if you haven't been trusting God, or if you haven't been letting go and just like letting God handle it, I would encourage you to do so. I would encourage you to take it to God in prayer too, and ask him like why you're having such a hard time letting go if you are having a hard time. For me, it was a trust thing. For some people, it's a fear thing, which wraps back into trust. For some people, it's doubts or this or this or that, whatever it might be. Go to him. Talk to him. Have that relationship with him. Trust him. Let it go. And you'll be amazed by what God does and how he brings it back to you tenfold, guys. And that was all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So, I hope you have an incredibly blessed week. And I will see you guys the next time God says to do a video. Bye.